Hey, my name is Stacy Morgan, and I'm going to be talking about a finance project for 381 for Crescent. Okay, during this project, I'm going to explain multiple ratios, and I have compared four companies together with each one to go along with the questions being asked. The first question is, acting as a bank with 200,000 to lend, which company would you lend the money to? So as we pull up the numbers on Bloomberg and compare them to the different ratios that was asked for, this is what came up. For the cash ratio, this is going to indicate a company's liquidity, and the best one I found for this is Ford. They pay more of their liabilities with cash and assets quicker than any of the other companies, and this number is best seen at a higher value. For the quick ratio, this gauges the company's liquidity, kind of the same thing, but this one looks at the dollar amount per dollar owned to profit. Next, we have the current ratio, and that shows the company's ability to pay back its liabilities, and the best one for this is Coke, and this is determined by the portion of the assets available to cover the liabilities. As it's mentioned in the bottom, if I was a banker offering 200,000 for the loan, I would choose Coke. I chose this because Coke pays more of its liabilities relatively faster than the other companies, and they make more dollar per share than their other companies. Next. For number 2, it asks, all four companies come to the bank for a $500,000 5-year loan, 1 million total. Which two companies would you lend to? In these equations, we use leverage, total debt, and EBIT to interest. Leverage is going to refer to measures of the amounts of the firm assets by its shareholders. Total debt is going to refer to the lowest debt ratio to which an investor would like to lend the money to. And EBIT to interest ratio is earnings before interest, and it measures the company's ability to meet interest expense. Looking at these numbers, I found that Exxon would be the best one to loan to if I was doing just one company, because they have the better numbers and it looks a lot better after doing research on this. And the second company would be Walmart. Both of these companies would be easier because I find that both companies would get their money back to the investors much quicker. Number 3, bank. This is the question. The bank is debating buying equity in a company. Should equity be bought? It must be bought from one company, at most two. Once again, we're comparing all four companies in this, and we're looking at ROE, leverage, total asset turnover, and the PE ratio. For ROE, we're going to look at it measures a firm's ability to generate profits from its shareholders. For leverage, we're going to look at the measures amount of a firm assets by its shareholders, which is total assets compared to total shareholders' equity. This is considered the risk to creditors. For total asset turnover, it measures sales generated by a company's assets, and for the PE ratio, it measures the amount of net income earned with each dollar of sales generated. Looking at each ratio, I broke down and talked about which one is the best, just like I have in the previous slides. For ROE, it's Walmart because they have a higher return on equity and it shows its investors' funds are being used effectively. For leverage, I also picked Walmart as well because they lose the least amount of equity in the company when you compare these numbers together and break down in the Bloomberg Lab. For total asset turnover, Walmart's the best. For PE ratio, Coke is the best because the higher the number means the more growth the company will face. This means investors anticipate higher growth in the future. For this question, I would choose to buy equity from Walmart and Coke. This because their resources are used more efficiently than others, and they have the numbers to prove this. This last slide is just definitions, a little basic, something to go back on in case somebody needs to see what a ratio means or what it stands for and how to get to it. Thank you. Just all that for nothing. Found it.